Okay, in this lesson we're going to take a look at graphing, and it's kind of a shortcut to graphing with a table of values. You don't have to do as many calculations, and this works for functions that make straight lines. And in general, anything that we can make look like this, y equals mx plus b, if we can make it look like that, it's going to make a straight line. Okay, and if that's the format it takes, we have some shortcuts we can use. Now if you look at this one over here, it looks kind of like that. We have y equals 2 times x, so that's just like this part right there. And then minus 3. Well, I know this says plus b, but you can add a negative number. It doesn't change the process here. It just means it's a negative number instead of a positive one. So here's how you would approach something like this. The first thing you want to do is locate that number that is not multiplied by x. The one number that's constant, that's there by itself without a variable. And in this case, that would be negative 3. That gives me a starting point, and that's the place where this function will touch the y-axis. Okay, it's kind of like if I put 0 in for x, that whole piece would disappear, and I'll be left with negative 3 by itself. So I'm going to go down to negative 3 on the y-axis, and that's my starting point. And that's how you do it every time. Okay, that's always the number we're going to look for, no matter where it's at. What number is constant that has nothing to do with the variable? Now, to find the other points, we're going to need to connect it with something, and that's what's nice about this number right here, what we call m. That is our slope. What it basically tells us is how steep this function is. Like, does it climb really fast? Does it fall really fast? Is it kind of flat? What's it look like? Okay. So slope, in our case, is positive 2. Now what we would like to do is write that slope as a fraction. Well, you might say this doesn't look like a fraction. Well, everything, if it's by itself, just a whole number, can be written over 1. Now, the reason I'm doing that is if I can write it as a fraction, it gives me instructions on where to find my next point. 2 over 1. What that means, 2 is what we call our rise. Okay. What I really mean by that is, whoops, I have a hard time writing here. Rise is how far up it goes. 1 is what we call our run. That's how far over it goes from the starting point. So if my slope is 2 over 1, I'm going to start at my red dot down here, and I'm going to go up 2 units right there, and then I'm going to go over 1. Now you might say, which way should I go? And here's my short answer to that. Put a point right there that you can see. Okay. If it's a positive slope, your line's going to look like this. It's going to climb as you go to the right. So any positive slope looks like that. If it's a negative slope, it's going to fall as you go to the right. So I look at this and I go, it's positive. I want to make it look like that situation right there. Okay. Now what do I do from that point? I go up another 2 and over 1. Okay. And all these points should line up. And there is a picture of my function. And I know a lot of people worry about, do I move left, do I move right, do I move up, do I move down? All I ever worry about is, can I make my situation match this or this? And all I have to do is look to see that this is a positive number, and I know that's what I'm trying to do. Okay? The top number tells me how far I go up. That was this right here. And the bottom number tells me how far I go over. And that's where I put my next dot.